So this is the story of my Crataegus, my Hawthorn Raft that was exhibited at the Trophy in 2017 and won Best Deciduous. It all started on a Welsh hillside collecting the Yamadori, and I was with my friend Terry Foster, and the tree came out really quite easily, and first thing I did was when I got it home was made a box that would fit it. It's in a very open soil mixture, and as you can see it's really just a tangled mess of sheep eaten branches. So what I wanted to do really was sort out the tree and get it down to the basic structure, removing all of the young branches, those that didn't have craggy bark on it. And what you've got here are 10 trunks on the tree, and this was about survival. Here it is being exhibited very first time in 1994 at the Joy of Bonsai, and it was decided really that the pot wasn't suitable. So when it came to repotting, we removed a big ugly root at the back and got a rectangle from Derek Aspinall, a good friend of mine, and as you can see it's much more suitable. Here it is in springtime, and it's really a nice tree in spring. So when it was repotted, we had to change the angle of the tree, and what it meant was that the right hand side of the tree in actual fact was facing away, so I needed to bring the main trunk around to face forward. So I did this by drilling a hole through a knot hole, which was very fortunate, and cutting a wedge out of it with a very fine saw. So here's the first cut, and here is the second cut, and so in removing that piece of wood I was able to bend it onto it and bringing it forward by about 25 degrees, which was fantastic. Here it is held in place with copper wire in those two parts, and this is a couple of years later, and it's fused and it's very, very strong. A few years before I actually did it a branch on the left hand side, but that's the only photograph I've got of it. So here it is repotting again many years later with my friend Harley Rider, and as you can see it's a very solid mass, and you see the water that's still retained in the bottom of the pot. We did also choose to do this on probably one of the wettest days of the year. It does tend to rain quite a lot in Manchester. And here we are actually clearing, the surface. We're exposing the roots, and as you can see, they've taken the shape of the pot. And now, it's a very, very wet, muddy day, muddy thing to do. I mean, you can see there the roots at right angles as it hit the side of the pot. And that's the volume of root that the tree had gained over the years. I repotted this at every 6 years. So it was a case of completely bare rooting, taking all the soil off it. I do this with all my hawthorns. Clean the pot, of course, in readiness for taking the tree again. And it was a case of of sorting out the nabari and improving the root structure. That's something that I do with all the trees that when I'm repotting it. So again, jet washing, and we had this ugly root directly underneath the tree that lifted the tree out of the pot. So it was a case of removing that root. That was the first one that we did. And here it is, as you can see, it's quite substantial. It's the thickness of your thumb, so it's quite a substantial root. And it was a slow process of just untangling the roots, making sure that we had sufficient for the health of the tree. There's the pot in readiness. Now the other thing, of course, is that the timing of this was just as the buds are beginning to break, which for me is about mid-April. And as you can see, there's a lot of root that has been removed. So it was a case of positioning the tree exactly as I wanted it in the pot. Just to go back, that's the amount of root that we had. So you can see yellow in there, that's Kanuma. I actually put a little bit of Kanuma in with my mix, and it just sweetens the soil. So there we are, placing the tree in, improving the nabari. You can see some nice new young roots there. And I fit in tying directly onto the thicker roots because they will be removed over time. There it is in the greenhouse, sitting with moss. Now, winter protection, I leave it out all year. That's tipped up so it drains well. There it is under a duvet of snow, and that also helps with cracking the bark. This for me is when it shows best, when the new growth just comes out, those beautiful little leaves. The tree does flower. I'm very fortunate for that. And here it is as it was exhibited at the trophy in 2017. The table was specially made for this tree, as was the pot by Derek. I was very pleased and quite surprised to win, because in that competition there's some fantastic trees. But it's nice to have worked on a tree for 26 years, bring it to a show and for it to win a prize. All the way from the mountain to the exhibition, all the work that's been done, 26 years of enjoyment. And here it is when it was first internationally exhibited in 1997. And there we are. One of those trees, one of those things has aged better. So there is the raft, approximately 1 meter wide, and it's 5 trunks, the perfect size. And as Mr. Kimura said in 2001, it was the best deciduous raft he had seen outside of Japan. Thank you for watching.